We hear a lot of perspectives on the Mankind podcast. Inclusion of a guest is not an endorsement of their views, and the opinions expressed here do not always represent the mission or values of the Mankind Project USA.
Looks like the rain has gone.
Boyson,
Brandon, what's happening?
what's going on, man? We don't get to share the mic that much. This is great.
Yes.
So, serious question. When was the last time you checked your balls?
Shit. I thought I was supposed to know that was coming, but then I forgot. It's been a little while, honestly. Yes, but I did have my yearly physical with the cold finger treatment about 2 months ago.
Don't do the cold finger anymore. They do it through blood. That's just wishful thinking.
No, the dude actually, my doc checked my balls.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about prostate.
No, not that one.
Oh, okay. I know. What does a guy got to do to get his prostate tickled around here? That's my question. They're like, no, we just do it through blood.
So many things I could say, and I will say none of them.
Is this why we don't get on the mic as frequently as I'd like to?
Happy November, man.
Happy November. Dude, what a year. Look at what's happened in a year, man. My kid's going to be 1 in 4 days.
Audience, you don't get to see this, but nearly every time that I get to hang with Brandon, Bindi is around. Bindi's in frame often. And I get to hear a lot about Bindi. Yes, it's so exciting.
Yeah, dude.
And we hit 100,000 downloads on the podcast, and we hit 125 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
but that's not really why we're here today.
No.
Why are we here today?
We're here today to talk about men's health. It's Movember.
It
right?
is.
It's Men's Health Awareness Month. And that includes emotional, physical, mental, all the above. And my intention as I enter into November is how can I shine a spotlight on some of the issues that folks aren't aware of, right? Men, as many as people will say that men are on the top rung of the ladder with privilege and opportunity and all the rest, we're struggling on multiple fronts, and our health across the board is one of those things.
For sure.
That stands out a lot. And there's a couple reasons for that, right? A lot of people attribute men dying 7 years on average sooner than women because hold my beer, this is going to be cool, right? No.
Because we're not usually that, though. No, I mean, hold my beer is one aspect of that, but the majority of it is the stuff that you just asked at the beginning of this, right? When's the last time you checked your balls? When's the last time you had your prostate, your PSA level checked, your cholesterol levels checked? When's the last time you went to the gym? Like all of those things, right?
Yes. And I have an anecdote to share. So a dear family friend of ours, for the longest time, my father-in-law was telling him, like, you got to get checked out. He hadn't been to the doctor in years. And he's like, you're in your late 60s. You got to get checked out. You got to get checked out. And he finally relented. And he went to the doctor. And within, I think 3 days, he was having 4 stents put in.
Wow, yeah.
He said, the doctor said, you have to get into surgery now. You have a serious blockage in one of your ventricles. I don't know. So they had to do a quadruple bypass on him, saved his life. But a lot of men will not get those things checked. And I think, I'm just going to say it. I know that relates to the man box. The narrow definitions of manhood that we as men police each other into. We learn it from kindergarten. We learn it from our role models. And it's men take it on the chin. We're tough. We don't talk about our problems. And we often turn that sentiment inwards. Just toughen up, man up. Don't be a sissy. And that's how we lead to dying 7 years on average before women.
Yes, and I love that. And the other part, the additional on the man box spin that you're putting on that is, right, what one of the major emotional states, emotional experiences that a lot of us men put into our shadows, pack away, is fear. And I think that a lot of guys that I know, we know that we need to go get checked out. We know that there's something, and there's a fear running about, I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That we just stuff away.
That's man box too. I can't show you my fear. If I show you my fear, I'm showing you my underbelly.
Right.
And you can take advantage of that. So interesting. I have another little quick story on that front. When I had my gym back in Australia, I had this client come in, and mid-40s, and he was clearly overweight, pumped up though. Do you know Richard Quest from CNN?
I don't.
Okay. Very British, very exuberant, like very charismatic. And he had personality galore. And he came in and he's like, Brandon, I've lost 3 kilos since the beginning of the year, and I feel great. My missus is starting to look at me again in ways like she used to when we got married. And I have this momentum. I want to keep it up. I want to lose 10 kilos, 22 pounds for those in America, because we use that system. And I was like, that's great. And so how we worked at Zone is like, numbers are just numbers. We use it in marketing to get you interested. But at the end of the day, why are you doing this? Like, what's the most important reason to take care of your health? If you're looking at vanity metrics like the scale or BMI and things like that, they're not sexy. They're not the things that are going to get you up out of bed in the morning at 5 a.m. when it's raining and 32 degrees, right? You just want to stay in bed. 10 kilos. Wow, that's motivating. So I kept asking, kept digging, and he was really confused by the process. He's like, I thought I just threw money at you and you would take me on as a client. I was like, no, if I'm not motivated to train you, I'm not going to. Like, when you put on a Zone shirt, you're a billboard for us. You're a walking testimonial, and I'm not going to have you be the bloke that dips and wanes and gets achieves and then plateaus. And so we finally were able to get to it. And he said, Brandon, I just turned 45. And when I was 12, my dad died of a heart attack. It was a stroke. Sorry, he died of a stroke, but he had multiple health issues, and he was 45. And he said, I have hated my father ever since. I needed him in my teen years. They were really rough. My mom couldn't handle me. I went to boarding school. I needed that guidance, that role model. I behaved like an idiot in my 20s because I didn't have that kind of role model. And he doesn't know my kids. He doesn't know my wife. I'm really mad at him for not taking better care of himself. And he goes, I'm in worse shape than my father was when he died.
Wow.
This is, I'm not going to fat shame anyone here. This is just purely an important conversation and talking point to bring up. No one gets to a certain degree of health, let's just say negative place in their health, without some form of awareness of how their behaviors have got them there. Mm-hmm. He knew how his behaviors got him to where he was. He knew that it was similar to his father's behaviors, but because of the fear of facing the reality and the truth that he was walking in his father's footsteps, I hate my father because he left me. He died. I hate myself because I'm doing the same thing he did. Bingo. That's how we got to the source. Losing 10 kilos wasn't going to do jack if we didn't first get to that. And so why am I sharing this? If you listening to this want to take agency for your health, want to change anything, and I'm not talking about losing 100 pounds. I'm talking about, even if it's just a seemingly insignificant 1% improvement in your habits, you have to get clear on the source. Why? Ask it 7 times. Dig. We do this process in the Mankind Project in our trainings. All right. It's bucketing. It's kind of getting to that. What is that thing that is really pulling the strings, that is controlling your actions, good, bad, or otherwise? If you can get clear on that, get intimate with it, perhaps do some healing there, then you can identify, where's my fuel source coming from? See, when I did like fitness modeling and, 4% body fat on stage in a Speedo, my why was confidence. I had zero confidence as a young man. And what I thought was just motivation to pick up chicks and look good in a picture, that was playing too. Really, what was the core of it was, man, I just wanted to look in the mirror and go, I'm proud of you, man. Like, you deserve this. Like, you're an attractive person who deserves love. And I wasn't getting that. Once I got clear on why I was putting in all the effort and living on chicken and broccoli, it made the actions easier. It made getting up out of bed at 5 a.m. when it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit for our US listeners. That's freezing for everywhere else in the world. So get clear on the source. Find out what that is. And if you want help or guidance in finding that why, here's a plug. Find a men's circle. Go to mkpusa.org. Find a men's circle. They'll help you do it.
That's good, right? So find your why, rephrased, start looking at the underlying beliefs about who you are in the world and what's getting in the way of you making different choices for yourself, right? So my why, at some point, I developed a belief when I was a very young kid that I was always going to be not in control of my body, my food, my choices. Like it was chaos, and I was going to just keep screwing it up. So I wasn't in control. I didn't get to choose. That belief system about myself leads me to make all kinds of unconscious choices about what I do. So it's only when I'm clear on my beliefs. Oh yeah, there it is. There's that belief I have that I'm not in control of my world in some very important ways, fundamental ways.
And that knocks onto so many areas, right?
Yes.
Not just health. Those belief systems tug on a lot of things. If you believe you suck with money, when you pull out that credit card and buy that thing you don't need that you know is just going to collect dust, there's that little part of you going, yep, just confirming the story here, just confirming the belief and the bias.
Confirming your story, yes. Confirming your bias, yes. Confirmation biases drive so many decisions that I make, and I judge that a lot of us make. I just want to keep confirming the shitty beliefs that I have about myself by making bad choices.
Yeah. Now, Boyson, men's health isn't just about preventative measures. Of course, like, we kick things off with the most important thing is, like, get your nuts checked out, right? Testicular cancer is a huge issue in men. Prostate cancer is a huge issue for men, as well as breast cancer, believe it or not. Like, we as men are susceptible to disease, and it's important to get it checked out. And of course, when it comes to changing habits, you want to understand the why beneath it all. But sometimes it's things like energy. Like, I've gotten to, having been an athlete, nothing really gets me excited anymore. Like, CrossFit doesn't. I failed at Ninja Warrior, so I'm going to close that door. But having been an Australian gymnast, like, tick. Okay, I'm not going to match or beat that at the age of 30 going onwards. So what does health mean for me now? It's not being on stage in a Speedo or any of that. It's how can I be able, as a father who spends a lot of time at home with his daughter, who has 3 different jobs and 14 hours to achieve all those 3 jobs and their objectives, how can I be present, energetic, and cognizant of what I'm doing to the degree that I want to do it? And I went and got my bloods done and found out that I had low testosterone. And I took that personally. I jumped in the man box. I was like, what is someone with low testosterone? Like, well, how would you describe someone with low T, right? Not my age, number one. That's not where I was like, really? 30 years old, low T? But yeah, I was like, man, am I an underperformer? Am I weak? Am I whatever? But working with my PA, I was able to identify some strategies and boost the energy and get it back up and look at ways that my sleep could have been optimized. And it was these seemingly insignificant small changes that allows me to wake up all night with my daughter if she's teething and whatever, and then still teach in the evenings, 5:30 to 8:30 at the university after having had a full day. It's these tiny little habits that stack over time that make a real difference. So for you, how are you approaching change? Are you trying to dive in deep, buy the supplements, the leggings, the program, the coach, the mentor? Or are you just looking at what are the little things I can tweak?
My metric is how do I feel? My metric is how do I feel about myself in my body? How do I feel about myself in the middle of the afternoon? How do I feel about myself when I wake up in the morning? Right? How do I feel in my body? And so for me, it's the simple stuff, right? It's the basics. It's like sleep, food, movement, and consciousness. I'm going to say that, like meditation, right? So meditation is like one of my keys in my health stuff.
I love it.
Sitting. And for me, that men's group, back to men's group.
Yeah.
My stretch with my men's group is I get my ass on the cushion 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Simple, right? Smart goal. Simple, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound, right? I get my ass on the cushion 3 times a week. Right now, it's been 9 days in a row.
Wow. Dude, meditation. That's great.
And you know why? Because I've got an accountability buddy that I'm texting with every single fucking day.
Yes.
To check in about that.
Yes.
And then exercise. I do meaningful exercise 4 times a week. And that's the goal.
So are those things that you're doing?
Yeah.
Are they things that you do, or are they who you are?
That's great. That's a belief system thing, right? And sometimes those are things that I do. And sometimes those are things that I am. I'm a cyclist. I'll own that one full on. Like, I'm a cyclist. I don't ride a bike. I'm a cyclist.
Yes. And what do cyclists do?
They ride.
And what do they sometimes do with their riding?
I don't know.
They race. And they go on these 180-mile...
I don't race.
So think about it.
Go.
Think, if you're going to punish your balls and your gooch, why not do it for a T-shirt or a medal? Come on.
I don't even need that. You know why I do it? Because my wife and I enjoy, like, that is one of the key things. So here you go. Get with your partner or find partners or create relationships where you can go be with other people to do these things. Doing 50 miles or 40 miles or 30 miles with my wife on a Sunday afternoon is like one of the most glorious experiences that we can have, right? And challenging each other and pushing ourselves so that our average speed has been going up year on year for the past 10 years. Yeah. Like I'm a cyclist.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. Yeah, when my wife and I mountain bike, I like to be in the back. The view's great.
Yeah, okay. You just have to go there, don't you?
Mate, I'm telling you, this is why we need to share the mic more. Okay, so you've hit a really good point. For those out there who have read Atomic Habits by James Clear, you'll know what we're talking about. For those that haven't, get your hands on this book because it's phenomenal. That's the reason why it has, 100,000 5-star reviews on Amazon. It's a game changer. Yes. And it talks about inside out goal achievement as opposed to outside in. Now, outside in is how we would traditionally establish a goal. So let's just say, let's go back to my client, for example. He wanted to lose 10 kilos, 22 pounds. He was coming in with an outside in, which was outside result. I will lose 10 kilos. In order to do that, I need to exercise X amount of times a week, change my diet, all the rest. And that's where most people get stuck because they get stuck in the how and the what. And then I will be valuable. Then I won't be as out of shape as my father. Then I'm not going to die and leave my kids with just their mother. As opposed to, and this is what James Clear presents as an alternative way of thinking, is I am someone who works out. I'm a fit person, even if it feels like you're lying to yourself. I'm a fit person. What do fit people do? They exercise, take care of their health, watch what they eat. And as a result, they lose weight. They lose 10 kilos, 22 pounds. If you want to run a marathon, are you going to call yourself a runner once you've run the marathon? Or can you identify today as a runner? But let's not be lunatics here. You got to do the thing. And what do runners do? They run. And what do they also do? Occasionally run marathons. And so your identity as a cyclist, Boyson, enforces the action. Getting on the bike isn't some gargantuan mammoth Everest level thing, because you're like, no, it's what I do. I cycle.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not there yet with cold plunging, but I will be.
Let's talk about some other stuff. Yeah. So shocks to the system. Choose your pains, right? Choose your problems. I love, I'm listening to The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And that's one of the powerful lessons that I keep taking from is like, we all got problems, folks. We all got, there's myriad things. There's an infinite number of things that I can give a fuck about. Choosing what I give a fuck about is like the most powerful thing that I have.
Yes. Save your F's for the things that matter.
Save your F's for the things that matter, right? So choose the problems that you want to have. Why would you possibly want to do cold plunging?
Because Andrew Huberman told me to.
Good. External authority. That's always a good one.
I just want him to see me and accept me and validate me. No, there are a myriad of reasons. I think primary above all of it is helping me reclaim an identity. If we're talking inside out, I've got a very comfortable life.
Yeah.
Right. Me and my wife have worked very hard to like eliminate our debts, and we've got a great work, great lifestyle, like very comfortable. With that comfort, a zone has been created.
Right.
A zone that was once uncomfortable, but I've gotten used to it, right? And I know where everything is. And I don't do my best work when I'm comfortable. And the cold plunge for me represents me being prepared and willing. Like this morning, dude, it was 32 degrees outside. I did not want to get in that water. But what did I text my men's group last night? My ass will be in that water for a minimum of 90 seconds. And guess what? If I don't do it, there's a process that I hate doing on Tuesday nights for not following through. And I don't like to be let off the hook. So I did it for 4 minutes because why not? And of course, do the research yourself, people. I'm not the authority here, but there is a myriad of benefits by shocking your system. I mean, we had the crud. Any parents out there, you know what the crud is? It's when your kid brings home something. Everyone in the house got it except me. And I think that has something to do with what I'm doing with my nervous system, with getting in the cold.
Yeah.
So a couple reasons. That's an extreme example, and that's not necessarily a low-hanging fruit for a lot of people, but I couldn't have started doing that if it wasn't for the previous habits that have been put in place. Consistent exercise, consistent, eating, restricting my alcohol intake, morning walks. So you choose your suck. You choose your hard, and you choose where you send your Fs.
Change something by choice. Yes. So that's built into some of the work that we do in the Mankind Project, but I'll also just shout it directly out. Like, we have a 3-week introduction course that's an online course. And one of the things that we challenge the guys with at the end of each session is, okay, we want you to challenge yourself: cold shower, meditation, or journaling. Pick something up this week, make a commitment to doing something that which one of those feels least comfortable to you right now? Why don't you try that one for this week?
So something needs to be said here, because I love that. You have to have a representation of commitment. There has to be a step forward. There has to be skin in the game. If we talk hero's journey, it's the crossing the threshold. It's going from the ordinary world to the dangerous, scary hero's journey. And some of you listening right now may be in a take your unicorn hats off, take your special hats off, a very common mental conundrum of, I have tried so many things and it hasn't worked. January comes around, new year, new me. I buy the supplements, the gym equipment, the expensive membership, the tights, everything. And I'm great my first week. Second week, I gave myself some slack. And then third week, boom, it's gone. I'm off the track. there's many reasons for that. Oftentimes it's trying to eat the elephant and trying to change every habit at once. And it's like taking a freshwater fish and throwing it in the ocean, right? They might get around for a little bit, but they can't stay there long. And it's important to understand when you take on any of these initiatives is like, what is the first step? It doesn't have to be the next best thing. Sometimes it has to be, what's the next best step that is I look at it like this. It's a bridge of belief. Where you are, where you want to be, every action that is in favor of you achieving that goal, you lay a brick. And as you step forward onto that brick, the thing that's on the other side of the river all of a sudden comes into view a little clearer. The reality of it comes into view. And then, and then you start eating a bit better. You notice the scales start to drop. You've done your first week of working out. You told yourself you'd work out twice that week because you haven't worked out twice in a week in 10 years.
Yeah. Start simple.
Points on the board. Lay some bricks. What do you know? The end goal's even more clear. And over time, laying the bricks just gets easier and easier because those habits stack, and your belief in yourself, your belief in your ability to achieve said goal gets enforced. So you got to ask yourself, is driving through the drive-through because it's easy and it's convenient and it's right next to my house, is this decision a vote for my success? Or is it just adding more data to this belief that I can't achieve the goal? Or instead, am I going to do the inconvenient thing, go home, pull out groceries, prep some food, and cook a meal, which will take me 20 minutes after a massive work day and kids screaming and all the rest, when I could have just gotten the McDonald's?
All that.
Where are you putting your votes? Are you betting on you to win? Or are you just going to stay in that comfort zone and enforce an old story and let this be just another thing, another failed attempt, right? So small steps, just small, break them down to tiny little things.
I want to do a vulnerable thing about sleep right now, because this is something that's changed for me in recent history. So I'm 52 years old, almost 53 years old. And I've been a snorer most of my life, but in the last 2-3 years, it's gotten worse. Hey guys, listen, are you snoring? Are you stopping breathing? So, and this was one of those things that I put off thinking about, it's not a big deal, not a big deal, push. Finally got a sleep study 3 months ago. I was stopping breathing 25 times every hour.
25 times every hour.
Which is mild to moderate sleep apnea, right? So now I have a CPAP machine. I am better rested now. It's been 3 weeks since I started using a CPAP. I am better rested now than I have been in years.
You look fabulous.
Because of that. And also other good news, the afternoon snacks. Anybody else do afternoon snacks? Because I get tired in the afternoon. So instead of resting or drinking a big glass of water, I go eat snacks, usually carby snacks, to get my energy level back up.
Scooby snacks.
Sleep changes what I want in the afternoon, which is crazy.
Isn't that interesting? So the same way that you're building new habits, right? Positive habits, oftentimes negative habits have their own pattern. Like I know that when I drink, I want to put a Zyn, one of those little nicotine pouches. I want to put them in because I enjoy a nicotine buzz. And it's every time I drink, my brain has already created this cascading, you've done that. Well, you know what you have to do now is put that thing in your lip. And I'm against tobacco use if it's not used in a sacred way. But the nicotine piece, I can use it for productivity and all the rest. But I do know that when I drink and it's like, okay, time to get the nicotine buzz, it is an enforced neuroassociative pathway that I've created through those habits.
Habits, yes, right.
It's like getting really wasted and wanting to text your ex. I've never done that.
And your ex is nicotine?
No.
I think there's probably a grunge song in there somewhere. What else? What are we missing?
Well, you mentioned sleep, so I think it's really important. Here's just I'm going to condense decades of research into a very simple tip. And anyone out there who says that they can drink a double espresso after dinner and fall asleep, you're not. You're not actually sleeping. You're not going into REM or deep sleep, despite what your device might be telling you. You are messing up what's called your adenosine system, which is the thing that tells you it's time to go to bed. Caffeine tricks it and says, nope, I'm awake. I'm ready to rock. So, little tip on sleep for you. No caffeine intake within 10 hours of your desired bedtime. So if you want to be in bed at 9, you're cutting it off at 11 a.m. No more forms of caffeine. That's soda, that's coffee, that's supplements, that's Red Bull, any of that stuff. So there's a little pro tip on sleep.
Are you going to mention screens, or are you going to force me to mention my addiction to screens?
Yeah. Oh, I'm in it too, dude. Great British Baking Show. That's our nighttime routine. But yeah, totally. Screens, blue light.
Blue light. Yeah.
The light that your devices emit imitates the same light that comes from the sun, which with your circadian rhythm tells you to wake up. So having screens before bed is tricking your brain into waking up, in turn impacting the depth and the quality of your sleep. So
yes.
We've covered tons, but I think something that's really important to cover is energy sources, how you're finding them, how you're getting them. You mentioned snacking. So making sure you're putting the right food and right quality items in your body, drinking water, whether it's taking a recharge moment during the day, during those 2 p.m. moody blues, to take a walk, work out, get outside, change your environment. Something you and I have been dabbling around with recently has been a certain supplement, a certain little aid, which has been really cool. I was so skeptical, man. Like when I owned my gym, every snake oil salesman came to me with every bloody pill and potion, and I'm a purist, right? I'm like, dude, if you can't get it from real food and exercise, then you just, it's not hardcore, it's not real. Then again, what's real food these days? Yeah, right. So we got approached by Magic Mind to try out their subs. They figured you, our audience, could benefit from checking out their little potion that they've put together. And I was skeptical, but I will not turn away free. I won't turn away free. Right. Free energy alternatives to coffee, because I'm sick of staining my teeth. So I said yes. You said yes. We gave it a shot. And I remember after day one, I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm placeboing myself, but this is really good. It's like 4 p.m. and usually by now I'm checked out, and I want to do the next thing, and I want to do the next thing. And then I was nervous. I'm like, how am I going to sleep tonight? Because anytime I have a stimulant, it's going to impact my sleep generally. And I slept like a baby. Baby. It was amazing. What was your experience?
My experience was similar to that. And I also did it with my wife. So my wife is even more skeptical about this stuff than I am. And we were both checking in. So the first day it was just like, okay, we're just going to ignore this and call it all placebo effect. Mm-hmm. But once we were 4 or 5 days into it and we're like checking in the middle of the day, it's like, yeah, this is different. This is different in the middle of the day than it was without this. And it was actually a little frightening how clearing it was. And it has so using Magic Mind, this Jumpstart, it's changed how much caffeine I'm taking in now. It's changed afternoon stuff. It's changed what I am routinely doing in terms of my morning routine and all of my supplements and the things that I'm adding and taking away. So some of the ingredients, super pure ingredients, the mushroom stuff that we talk about that, is out there all over the place right now. Ashwagandha supplement built into it, some no caffeine built into it. So focus, clarity,
Yeah. Ethically
energy.
sourced too. All the ingredients are ethically sourced, and I appreciate that. And for those of you that love your podcasts, Joe Rogan loves the stuff, takes it frequently. For those of you that love trash TV, the Kardashians love it.
Oh,
So
really?
don't just take our word for it. It's really potent stuff, and it's been enjoyable. And I love having it a part of my routine because I just know that I'm going to squeeze out that little bit extra in the day. So you can find a code to that and get your hands on it in the show notes. We'll make sure that that's easy and accessible. And you tell us how you found it, because I'm always intrigued by this stuff. Like maybe Boyson and I are an anomaly, but the results aren't lying. Silicon Valley is just rummaging through the stuff. So
wild.
I say check it out.
Wild stuff.
Wild stuff.
Anything else? So November, Men's Health Month. Support men's health. And why don't you start with yourself?
See, here's a call to action, right? Start with yourself. Yes, it's best to model it. I believe in letting your actions be so deafening that your words aren't necessary. So don't go saying to everyone else in your life, hey, you need to get your balls checked out. Maybe you won't lead with that, but you need to get your health checked out and blah, 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 when you admittedly could be doing that yourself. So one of the best ways to have impact and influence is to model it. However, who in your life perhaps needs a bit of a reality check? Someone you love and care about that is not taking care of themselves. Invite them into a conversation. Share your real concerns. Don't just point at them and don't poke them in the belly and be like, you got to get rid of this. Right? Invite them in, share how much you love them, how much you care about them, and how much their behaviors and habits might be concerning to you. Sometimes calling them in is more powerful than calling them out to these kind of conversations. So
invite them on a walk, invite them on a bike ride.
Yeah. And pick an exercise that's a low hanging fruit, right? You used to do kickboxing, join a kickboxing class. If you used to be a cyclist, get on the bike.
That's good. Yeah. Find the one that inspires you. Find the one that doesn't hurt. Running hurts me.
Yeah. Bingo.
Lifting is fun.
Yes.
So let's lift instead, right? Cycling is fun.
Bingo. And outside of changing your habits and inviting others to change theirs, you can also go to Movember.com and make a donation. You can, if you, unlike me, have the ability to grow a mustache, you can grow a fluffy upper lip friend over November and be sponsored for it. You can create your own page and you can say to those around you, hey, I'm growing out a stash and can you donate to my page? It's all tracked. It's all collected. It's a fun way to compete with other friends who like to grow the dirty Sanchez. So do that for yourself, raise a bit of money, have a bit of fun with it. And yeah, make November a memorable one by like, oh yeah, that's when Dad grows out his stash.
The horrible, awful, horrible looking thing. Yes.
I wish I could though. I still have to shave, but I can't. It's annoying. I still have to shave, but I can't grow one.
I'm sorry? Question mark?
Me and my ever so slowly rising testosterone will just sit here and eat ice cream in the dark.
So let's check out we reposted the Mark Hedstrom episode of the podcast talking more about Movember. Choose one thing. This is the question we ask in men's group every week. What's one simple thing that you're willing to commit to?
Mm-hmm. Let that be the first domino that knocks over the rest. Lots of love, Boyson. This is too much fun, man. We got to do this more often. And yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming your way here at the Mankind Podcast. We got interviews booked all the way into next year. Some really inspiring individuals. The list of guests just keeps growing as this podcast is growing. So we appreciate all of you who take the time to head to the show notes, find the link to rate us on iTunes. That changes the metric. I mean, that's the fee for this wonderful free conversation and value that you get. The fee is to go and rate, subscribe, and share this episode. If you found it impactful, share it with those whom you love and whom you think would benefit from it. So I've been Brandon Clift. He, that handsome devil with fantastic skin, who's getting all this great sleep, has been Boyson Hodgson. And this has been another episode of the Mankind Podcast, the show where we break the molds of modern manhood to prove there is more than one way to be a man.
Thanks all for being here.
Lots of love. See you next week. This has been another episode of the Mankind Podcast, produced in association with the Mankind Project USA. We have been your hosts, Boyson Hodgson, and myself, Brandon Clift, and we want to thank our guests for joining us today and imparting their wisdom from their experiences in this amazing journey called life. If you want to find out more about today's guests and support them in their mission, you can find links to them in the show notes. Now, if you have found gold and insights that you believe could benefit your loved ones and those you care about, be sure to share it with them. And of course, we are always grateful for a rating and review of the show on iTunes. Now, above all else, we've got to thank you, the listener, because through your attention and your support, you have made it possible for us to let men all over the world know that they are not alone and that there is more than one way to be a man. And if something in this episode has touched you, then perhaps it is the call to action to get involved in men's work. With live trainings happening constantly and in-person trainings happening all over the world, the Mankind Project definitely has something for you. Now, if you've enjoyed the music in this episode and all of our episodes, be sure to check out Jim Donovan and the Sun King Warriors. I have links to them in the show notes. And lastly, just know, what it means to me to be a man is completely different than what it means for you. That is the beauty of this journey. So if you are looking for guidance, support, and community as you begin to unpack and dive deeper into your men's work journey, then you know where to find us. Same place, same time, next week. Lots of love. We'll see you then.